Hello everyone, Swagatam and very warm welcome to all of you in this our revision series with a new chapter of Arithmetic Progression at your favorite platform of PW and with your favorite teacher Aman. So what are we going to learn today? First of all, before I talk anything about Arithmetic Progression, I should talk about the application of it, because you will be thinking in the series of polynomials, linear equation, quadratic equation, trigonometry, why are we coming back to the part of arithmetic? That's a very sound question. So to answer it, I have a very easy example. Let's say each and every month you are getting a pocket money. The pocket money is 100 rupees. Now 100 rupees is very low compared to today's inflation. Now to counter that inflation, your parents is giving you additional 100 rupees each and every month. So for the first month you got 100 rupees, for the next month you get 200, for the next month 300, for the next month 400. You are having money. So in this case, if someone asks after 12 months or at the end of the 1 year, how much total amount do you have if you are not spending it and basically saving all those money? So this is a very good example of arithmetic progression. Another case, let's say if you are traveling somewhere at a distance, whatever be the distance, ignore the distance, if you are traveling at a speed of 60 kilometers per hour. Now, if in 1 hour I'll ask you how much distance you have covered, for that you require a bit of physics. Now, 60 kilometers per hour, that means in 1 hour, 60 kilometer. In the next hour, 120 kilometer. In the next hour, 180 kilometer. So the distance is increasing uniformity, right? Uniformly. So uniformly because of arithmetic progression, because the addition of 60 each and every hour is there. Similarly, these days it's very hot and I feel the temperature is rising uniformly. Yesterday it was 30. Next day it will 31, after that 32. So 1 degree increase each and after every day. So these are very good example of arithmetic progression, and the basic thing over here is quite obvious. What is that? A increment of a fixed quantity. A increment of fixed quantity. So we'll talk about what this fixed quantity is called and how do we do the calculation in arithmetic progression. Let's first see the order of the class today. So the order will be very simple. I'll introduce you to the topic of arithmetic progression, which I think I have already done. In that, I'll add few new terms as well. You will be interestingly asked about few new terms. Then I'll come to the part of nth term. That means if someone asks after the end of 12th month, so 12th month how much pocket money do you have? Similarly, if someone asks you the sum of the n term, so this was about the sum. If someone asks you what will be the pocket money you'll be getting at the end of the 6th month or the total sum. So these are all example of nth term and sum of an AP. We'll talk about the formulas of these and how do we do the calculation of all this. First, we'll start with the introduction. What do I have to introduce you? Now, before I talk about arithmetic progression, I want to bring to your attention few new terms. I hope you would have heard about them. Like what term? The first term I have in my mind is sequence. Have you heard this term before? Sequence. Now, when someone asks whether this is a sequence or not, how do you define a sequence? Sequence is basically a list of numbers which are following any logic or pattern. A logic or pattern. What kind of a pattern? Observe over here. 1, or I'll say 1, not 1. Let me take with 2. 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13 and going on. Observe this number. Observe these numbers over here. What do you observe? Can you think out of anything? Now, AP is one of the favorite topics of the people who build up the paper of reasoning. Why? Because as you can observe, this is a very common thing which have been asked in logic and reasoning paper. Observing the pattern over here. So if you would have applied your mind, you would have realized by now this is a list of prime numbers, and that was the reason initially writing 1 I hesitated and then draw out of the equation over here. So this over here is a list of prime numbers. I can write any other sequence which follows a logical pattern like 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11 and so on. Now what is happening over here? Over here we are adding 2 each and every time. This is again a logic. So sequence, if I have to explain to someone what exactly is sequence. Sequence is a logical pattern. Sequence is a based on the logic. We are deciding the numbers each and every after one another. So this is what is sequence. So how does it differ from another thing which is progression or another term which is called as series? So what exactly is series now? This term series is also new to you. Now, someone talk about series. What exactly is series? So, series is simply the addition of the numbers in the sequence. So, when I write 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, all these numbers when I add up, I will be getting a simple series over here. This is a simple series. Series is the simple sum of all the numbers in the sequence. So whatever be the sequence, if I take up the sum of all them, we will be having a series. This was about series. Now, next term in this is progression. Progression is a term on which we are interested. Why? Because we are learning a chapter, arithmetic progression. So how a progression is different from a sequence? If I talk about the sequence of prime number, now can you think of the prime number which will be coming at the place 50th? The number which will be coming at 50th place, can you think of that number? No, you are not a supercomputer. You cannot immediately tell me that okay, on 50th number this will be coming. Basically, what you will be doing, you will be calculating first 2, then 3, then 5, then 7, 11, 13, 17, 19, 23, and you will be checking which number is coming on 50th. But directly you don't have a direct formula which help you to tell this part. Now, in the case of progression, that's not the case. In case of progression, you can always find out what number will be there on particular thing. For example, if I ask you what number will be there on the 25th place, what number will be there on the 51st place, what number would be there at 31st place, because we can derive a general formula, for the general term of the given sequence. Why sequence? Because progression is also a sequence. Sequence is more of a general term, progression is more of a generic or specific term over here, So for progression, if I write over here the terms like 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, all these terms have one thing common. What? In each and every term following, we are having 2 added. If I start doing the subtraction of 2, that will also be fine. In the similar manner, if I write another progression, let's say I write 1, 3, 9, 27. What is happening over here? With each following term, I am multiplying by 3. So there is a fixed pattern. Either I am adding or I am multiplying. So basically adding or subtraction are basically same. So adding or subtracting or multiplying or dividing the terms in the following term. This is what progression is. This kind of a pattern is called as progression. On the other hand, sequence is more of a general kind of a pattern. Any logic is there, that's for sure. So that is the difference between progression and sequence. Series is very simple to understand. Wherever we are trying to find the sum, that will be series. So I hope you got the clarity about these 3 terms, because anyone can ask you what's the difference among these 3 terms. So if you are clear about these 3 terms, then we move on understanding what exactly is arithmetic progression. Since the term arithmetic is used over here, let me tell you one thing. The progression over where we are simply adding or subtracting a number in the each following number, we will be calling it to be arithmetic progression. How? The example I gave you, I'll follow up with the same one. Let's say 3. 3 plus 2 is 5. 5 plus 2 is 7. 7 plus 2 is 9. 9 plus 2 is 11. 11 plus 2 is 13. I'll go on and on. So what is happening over here? We are adding plus 2. Over here, I added plus 2. Over here, I added plus 2. Over here, I added plus 2. And the thing goes on. This is what is happening in arithmetic progression. What is happening? Addition or subtraction, not multiplication or division. Addition or subtraction. For a multiplication and division, there is a separate term. That is not called as arithmetic progression. The name called over there is geometric progression. That is not we are going to learn in today's session, or not even in this grade. We are going to learn that in grade 11th or 12th. So don't worry about geometric progression. No one is going to ask you at the moment, because you are not enough qualified to learn that part. You can learn, definitely. I am not questioning your intellect, but over here you have been assigned this task to learn first. So arithmetic progression is basically adding a fixed term. Observe one more thing. We are adding the same term. The same term would be added. It's not like that. Over here I was adding 2, 2, 2, and then following this I started adding 3. that will not be the case. This will be a totally wrong idea. It will not be called as a progression. It will not be called as arithmetic progression over here. That's wrong. So the same number has to be added in each and every following number. So how can I write it in a journal manner? How can I write it in a journal manner? So observe over here. So for a journal manner, if I have to write, I'll be writing in this way. The first term is there. The first term is there. In the second term, what happened? I added one number. Let me call it as D. Let me call this term as D. Alright. So this is my second term. In the third term, I will be adding the same term. I will be adding the same term. So A plus D was there. I will add D along with it. So A plus 2D. A plus 2D. In the next term, I'll be adding one more D. So what will happen? A plus 3D. And this sequence will go on like this. A plus D, A plus 2D, A plus 3D, A plus 4D, A plus 5D. Now, in this we have a general vocab. A is called as our first term. This is our first term. What about D, sir? D is called as common difference. D is called as common difference. Why common? Because it is common in all among terms. It is common in all the terms. In this, the difference between these two, the difference between these two, the difference between these two, and the following one, the difference will always remain D. So common difference, common difference. Now, here is one interesting thing about common difference. I gave you one example over there, plus 2 was added every time, fine. But can there be minus 2? Basically, the numbers start decreasing. Is that the case? Yes, that can also be the case. The common difference, or I must say D, common difference, or I must say D. D can be positive, it can be positive, it can be negative, and most interestingly, it can be 0 as well. It can be 0 as well. So for example, if I write over here 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, and thing goes on. This kind of a sequence is very interesting, because if I ask you what will be 1000 term of this, what will be 200 term of this, you know, 2, sir, there is no change. But, oh, there is a change. One change is constant, that is 0. 0 is being added in each and every following term. And 0 can be the common difference. So if 0 can be the common difference, I can say, yes, this is an AP. I'll say, yes, this is an AP. This is an AP. Alright, so very simple thing, this is an AP. Now, if 2 would have been subtracted, then also it would have been AP. So all three possibilities are there: addition, subtraction, and 0 itself. So we have talked about sequence, we have talked about series, we have talked about progression, we have talked about arithmetic progression, how it is different from geometric progression. We have talked about the first term, we have talked about the following term, and we have talked about the difference among each of the consecutive term, which is called as common difference. The common difference is noted by D, and it can be positive, it can be negative, it can be 0 as well. So I have revised what I have told in the last 15 minutes. Now is the time we move on and understand with more practical problems. So here we have the first problem. What does it say? It says write first 4 terms of the AP. You have to write the first 4 terms, so they would be giving you some information. What information is given? When the first term A and the common difference D are given as follows. Here we have A is 10 and D is 10. Very simple thing. I would suggest you pause the video. Wherever I come up with a question like this, I hope with this yellow mark you would be clear, okay, this is a question. So you can pause the video over there, try doing on your own, then once you are done, unpause the video and then listen to me. Observe whether you gave the correct answer or not. In case it was not, then also nothing to worry about. You will get to know what mistake you have done over there. And once you observe that, once you listen to me, then once and for all, you will remember your mistake and you will never commit the same mistake. This is how the learning process happens. This is what is called as active learning. So I will suggest everyone to do the active learning. But those who are not interested in learning, there is no means of saying or explaining to them. Coming back to the problem over here. We had the first term as 10. We have the common difference as 10. So the first term, as I suggest, is A. Second term is A plus D. The third term is A plus 2D. And the thing goes on like this. So let me write first term 10. Second term A plus D. That means 10 plus 10, 20. The third term 20 plus d, that means 30. The fourth term 40, and the sequence goes on. First term is 10. In 10 we have added 10. Why? A plus d. So putting up the values of a and d. In this case, putting up the values of a and d. Now observe, don't go by this that okay, each and every time I have to use this formula, a plus 2d, then a plus 3d, then a plus 4d. No, that's not the case. Once you have written the second term, what you need to do? In the next term, add d. Over here 30, add d for the next term, that means 30 plus 10, 40, and you will easily able to find all the terms whichever you want to find. The first question was very simple, just to explain how does AP work. So whatever term is given, you can calculate the next term following it. Things are very simple. That is what arithmetic progression is. Arithmetic progression is a very simple topic and fun to learn. Next question. First four terms, again the same thing. I'll not read out the question loud. You know what the question is. I'll go forward with the answer over here. First term is minus 1. First term is minus 1. The next term is having half. Next term is having half. Not half, sorry, what I'm saying. The common difference is half. The common difference is half. So what will happen? In the first term, I will add half. I'll add half. So what will be having over here? Minus 1 plus 1 by 2. The answer I will be getting from this is minus 1 by 2. Now, in the next term, what will happen? In the next term, again, I will be having minus 1 by 2 plus 1 by 2. So, what will be the answer in this case? Minus 1 by 2 plus 1 by 2. The final answer over here will be 0. So, in the next term, I will be adding 1 by 2. 0 plus 1 by 2. The final answer in that case would be what? In that case, the final answer would be plus 1 by 2. So what is the AP over here? What is the AP? Very simple to understand. Let me write the AP with much more colorful pen. Over here, we have the first term as minus 1. Next term, minus 1 by 2. Next term, 0. Next term, 1 by 2. And you can go on doing the addition as much you want, as much you love, doing the plus and the minus thing. Are we clear with this much part? What exactly is AP and how can we generate a AP if the first term and the common difference is given? Okay, going forward now. Understanding with multiple kind of a question. So here's the next kind of a question we have. It says which of the following are AP? This time you have been asked whether the given sequence is a AP or not. So for that, the AP given to you is root 2, root 8, not AP. The sequence given to you is root 2, root 8, root 18, root 32. Fair enough. So how will I find? Now, observing by the face value, I cannot say that this is a AP because I cannot subtract. See, one thing which you need to make sure that the given sequence is AP or not, you need to find out the difference between the two consecutive terms and make sure that this difference is common in all the consecutive terms difference. I'll explain it with example over here. We are having root 2, we are having root 8. First of all, the basic mathematics is involved. What basic mathematics here? What is root 8 actually? Root 8, I can write it as inside square root 2 into 2 into 2. Now what is this? This is nothing. 2 will come out, so 2 root 2. Simple maths, that's why I called it basic mathematics. Root 18, what will happen for root 18? Root 18 is basically 2 into 3 into 3 because 3 into 3 is 9. 9 into 2 is 18. Now taking 3 out of it, so what will happen? 3 root 2. Next, after this root 32, I'll not do the calculation over here. I'll leave it up to you so that you'll be able to do it. The final thing coming up would be 4 root 2. What's the point, sir? Come to the point. We have learned the basic mathematics. The point is the numbers written over here are root 2, next number is 2 root 2, the next number is 3 root 2, the next number is 4 root 2, and thing goes on. Now, what I am saying, listen to me carefully. To check whether the given sequence is an AP or not, what you need to do? You need to take out the common difference. Subtract this term from this term. Always you will be subtracting the first term from the second term, not the vice versa. Then the things will be different. Explaining over here, listen carefully. So this is your second term. So subtracting from, if I say this is A1, that means the first term. This is A2, your second term. This is third term, A3. This is your fourth term, A4. So what we'll be doing? A2 minus A1. From the second term, you will subtract the first term. 2 root 2 minus 2. What I'll be getting? I know the subtraction will be root 2. If you don't know this subtraction, you need to revisit our revision series in the first chapter of real numbers, where I talked about the operation of rational and irrational number, a very basic mathematics. Coming back, now the difference between two consecutive A2 and A3. So A3 minus A2. A3 minus A2. 3 root 2 minus 2 root 2. Again the answer will be root 2. A4 minus A3. A4 minus A3. Again the answer will be root 2. Why I am checking this again and again? You have to make sure that the common difference is same. The name suggests common, so it has to be same. In each of the three cases, we are having root 2, and hence I can say that it is common, and yes, this is an AP. Yes, this is an AP. That is what you have to check in each and every sequence given to you. And most importantly, don't judge by its face value. Just like don't judge the book by its cover, similarly, don't judge the sequence just by its face value. Make sure you do the simplification just like this. Do the simplification just like this, and then check whether the common difference is same or not. You'll understand better. Let's take one more example. Here we have the next problem. Again, you have to check whether the AP, this is AP or not. What I've told, the basic difference, not basic, the common difference. So A2 minus A1. A2 minus A1. What is A2? Over here, since they are written in terms of A, don't get confused. What is A2? A2. This is A square. Let me change this part. I'll not write A2, A3. Few people will get confused. This is A square, A cube. Why is sir writing A2, A3? So over here, basically, I'll subtract this from this. So A square minus A square minus A. So what will happen? I'll take A common. I'll be left with A minus 1. Fine. In the next case, I'll subtract A square from A cube. A square from A cube. Again, taking A square common, I'll be having A minus 1. A raised to the power 4 minus A cube. What I'll be getting? I'll be getting A cube into A minus 1. Is this calculation of any use? I don't think so. If you think, that is fine. Over here, if you observe, this is A square, this is A cube. Few of the student might be observing this all are same. No, they are not same. This is A square, this is A3. They all are different. They all are different, not common. I'll write it like this, not common. Since the difference has to be common, over here it's not common. So hence, D is not common. So I cannot say not, I cannot not. This is not an AP basically. I'll have used not multiple times. I'll simply write it over here. This is not an AP. Not an AP. This is the final thing over here. This is not an AP because the common difference is not coming out to be same. But interestingly, I told you in the case of progression, there is another kind of progression. What is that? Arithmetic progression, geometric progression. I told in arithmetic progression, we add and we subtract. But in case of geometric progression, we multiply and divide. If you observe, when we divide the first term to the second term, what will happen? We'll get A. Same if I repeat with the third and the second term, again I'll get A. So basically I'll be getting the same difference when I'm dividing or multiplying. So that means it can be geometric progression, but it's not arithmetic progression. I have given you sufficient hint. If you want to explore more, you can go on exploring this part. It's totally up to you if you are interested. I'm not pushing you for that. I'll push you for the next question which we have. So next question is the easiest question of the lot. It says, tell me whether this is an AP or not. I have given you the suitable example of 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. And over there, I simply mentioned that the common difference, that means the value of D can be 0. D can be 0. And over here, same is the case. D is 0 and hence it is an AP. It is an AP. No more wasting time on this question over here. It's not an AP. Fair enough. Next one. Show that A1, A2 and going on like this AN form an AP where an AN over here, this should be AN. AN like this, not N. AN is defined as below. So what is AN? Now, sometimes what happens, AP, rather than written in the form 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, they will simply give you a general term. What general term? They will write in the form where you have to replace the value of n. N means a simple variable. You will replace n with 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on. What will happen with this? When you put the value of 1, this will be your first term. When you put the value of n as 2, this will be your second term. When you put the value of n as 3, that will be your third term. Then n as 4, fourth term. And that is how you can check over here whether this general term is giving you an AP or not. So what I told, A1. So you'll replace n with 1 over here. 3 plus 4 into 1. What will be coming? 4 into 1 is 4. 4 plus 3 is 7. Alright. A2. What is A2? Replace the value of n with 2. So 3 plus 4 into 2. 4 into 2 is 8. 8 plus 3 is 11. A3. A3 is what? 3 plus 4 into 3. 4 into 3 is 12. 12 plus 3 is 15. Fair enough. Now, I can go on like this, calculating A4, A5, and you can also go on calculating A6, A7, and up till wherever you want. The only important thing to check whether this is an AP or not, to check the basic difference. So let me start with checking the basic difference of these two terms. That means A2 minus A1. A2 minus A1 is 11 minus 7, that gives you 4. Checking for next two terms, that means A3 minus A2. A3 minus A2 means 15 minus 11, that gives you 4. And if you try doing the same for the next few one, then also you'll find out that the common difference comes out to be 4. The difference over here is 4, and hence I can say, since we are having a common difference, the general term is indicating an AP. The general term is indicating an AP. So these were all questions which I want you to explain what exactly is AP. If till now you have understood what exactly is AP, from here onwards you can continue. Now, but I have a warning for rest of the people. What rest of the people? Those who are not still able to understand what AP is. Here onwards, if you go forward, you will not be able to understand it further. What you need to do? You need to revisit. You need to start from the very start. And then we understand whether what AP is or not. Next, going forward, we are going to talk about the new topics, and the new topic over here is nth term. What exactly is nth term, sir? I gave you the example that, okay, each and every month you are getting the pocket money. First month 100 rupees, second month 200, third month 300, fourth month 400, and the sequence goes on. Alright. Now, if I ask you, what will be the pocket money you will be getting in the 23rd month? In the 23rd month. What pocket money you will be getting in the 23rd month? Or let me say, what pocket money you will be getting in the 48th month? So this much, after this much time would I get the pocket money? If you are grown enough, you will be earning your own money. Otherwise, you will be still getting the pocket money. So whatever be the case, this is just a general example. What I am trying to say, we can ask you to find out the general term. We can ask you to find out the general term for any specific case. For example, this was the first term, this was the second term, this was the third term, fourth term, and going on. I can ask you to find out the 50th term of an AP. I can ask you to find out the 100th term of an AP. How can you directly find out the 100th term or 102 term or 52 term? And that exactly was the distinction I made for progression. I told you, in the case of progression, always you can find out any specific term, any specific, be it 50, be it 75, be it 1000. We have a general method to find it out. How that works? I'll explain it over here. I wrote the general method as A plus D, going forward A plus 2D, going forward A plus 3D, and so on. What are these? These are the terms of AP. So what term? This was our first term. This is our first term. This is our A1. This is our A2. This is our A3. This is our A4. Observe one thing over here. Observe a pattern. If you are good at observing the pattern, this is a chapter for you. This is a chapter specifically made for you. Alright. So observe, let's say A4. So how many D's have we added in A4? 3. We have added 3. How many D's have we added in A3? 2. How many D's have we added in A2? 1. This is basically 1, right? Now, using this pattern, I can write the general term for an AP. How? I know that A is there and D is there. So using A and D, I can write any of the general term. Let's say I have to write A50. A50. So A50 will be the first term plus how many D's? How many D's? Over here for 4, 3. For 3, 2. For 2, 1. So for 50, 1 less. So how much 1 less? 50 minus 1 D. That is A50 will be A plus 49D. A plus 49D. Simple, very simple. Now that means this is a simple formula. This can give me a general formula. Whatever term has been asked, just subtract 1 from it and multiply with D. I'll come up with a general formula looking like this. AN will be equal to the first term plus n minus 1 into D. Understand this formula very carefully. What does AN stand for? As I told, n is the whatever term you are trying to find out. If you are trying to find out the 50th term, n is the value having the value 50. If you are trying to find 75th term, n is having the value 75. If you are trying to just simply write a general term or general formula using which you can write any of the following terms in the AP, this is the formula. The formula uses the first term A1 and common difference, that is D, and the value of n. For which term you are trying to find out. If I have to explain it any further, if you want to find A50, what you will do? Put up the value of n as 50. So n as 50, n minus 1, 50 minus 1, 49. So A plus 49D. If I want to find A99, so this will be A plus 98D. If I want to find A78, it will be A plus 77D. As simple as that. Very simple. So this is the way I can write any of the term in the AP. And n over here is the number of term. N over here, number of term. And this is the general formula which indicate the nth term. So you must be remembering the question over there. I gave you AN equals to 3 plus 4. It was D, I hope. So 4D. So over there we had put the value of not D exactly, N. So 4 into 1, 4 into 2, 4 into 3, and that is what happening over here. N will be 1, 2, 3 and going on. I hope you have noted down this formula. I'll explain this formula better with few of the following questions over here. So let's start with the question. Here we have the first question. It simply says the 30th term of an AP. The AP is given to you as 10, 7, 4 and going on. First of all, whenever you are attempting a question in AP, always write the general thing. What? The first term. The first term over here is 10. Write the common difference, that is the value of D. The common difference will be 7 minus 10. From the second term, subtract the first term. So 7 minus 10, that is minus 3. What does this negative D indicate? Whenever we have the value of D as negative, it simply means that the numbers are decreasing. Whenever we have a positive number, the numbers are increasing, and whenever 0, it means constant. So you should always be on the positive side of the growth, right? Over here, coming back to the question, A and D are given. I need to find the 30th term. So 30th term simply means A 30th. This is what they are asking. So A 30th is what? A plus n minus 1 into D. This is the formula which we have to use. A plus n minus 1 into D. And I know the value of n over here is 30. So A 30th will be what? A 30th will be A plus 30 minus 1 into D. Or I can directly write that A 30 will be what? A 30 will be A plus 29D. So these three steps are extra steps which I have written just to explain you. But whenever asked for A30, directly you should be writing this term. A30 equals to A plus 29D. And after that, the first step was this. This is our first step. This is our second step. And our third step would be very simple. Putting up the values. What values? Put up the values. A30th will be what? A30th will be the value of A is 10 plus the 29 over here. So 29 multiplied with minus 3. Over here you can do the calculation. This will be 10 minus y minus plus minus minus. 9 into 3 is 7, 27. So we are having 2. 3 into 2 is 6. 6 plus 2 is 8. Minus 87. Minus 87 plus 10, that gives us the answer minus 77. This is our final answer. We have option number C, which is our correct answer. Using this question, I have tried to explain you the formula n equals to a plus n minus 1 into d. N over here is the term which we are trying to find out. They have asked the 30th term. So we have put the value of n as 30. Directly we can write a 30 equals to a plus 29d. And since the AP is given, that means the value of a and d are given to us. I hope whatever effort I have put up over here, you have understood that part. Alright, not the effort part, the concept part over here. So moving on to the next question. In the following AP, this is not APS, this is APs. So basically there would be multiple APs, but I have chosen only one. There would be multiple APs like this. So in the following APs, find the missing term in the blank. The AP, if you are observing, this is not 4 terms missing. This is only 1 term missing. Or if I can write over here, this is 2. Then the next term is missing and the next term is 26. How we have to proceed with this question? This question is more of a conceptual one rather than thinking about the formula. Always don't think about the formula. Keep your mind open. When they say keep your mind open, that means whatever knowledge you have, keep it aside and think about the other possibilities. What other possibilities? Just think about the basics of AP. What basics of AP? I know that this is A1, the next will be A2, the next will be A3 and going on. So for AP, I know one concept, that the common difference would be the same. Common difference means common difference is A2, that is D equals to A2 minus A1, and this will be same as A3 minus A2. If you observe over here, I have used the 3 terms A1, A2, A3, and this will be same. So I know these two will be equal. Let me put the value. If I say one part which is missing, let me call it to be X. If I call it to be X, so putting up the values over here, A2 is X, A1 is 2 for me, A3 is 26 given to me, and A2 I have assumed X. Plus minus X going on the other side will be plus X, X plus X is 2X for me. This minus 2 going on the other side will be plus 2, so 26 plus 2 is 28. From here, when I divide 28 by 2, what I will be getting? When I divide 28 by 2, I will be getting 14. 14 into 2 is 28. The value of X comes out to be 14. That means over here, I need to fill up 14. The term missing in between was 14. Did I use any specific formula? No. AP over here always doesn't mean that you have to use the formula. Even the formula derivation I told you is very general and specific. If you have an understanding, you can answer. So I hope you have understood this problem. This is a very good problem, and like this there can be multiple problems. Rather than missing one term, they can miss 2 terms or 3 terms, or randomly if they miss out any terms, you have to use the general formula. A plus 4D equals to this thing, A plus 3D equals to this thing. Things are simple over here. Moving on to the next one then. The next one says which term of an AP is 78. What we need to do in this one? Now 78, I don't know the which term of the AP will be 78. So basically what is missing? The value of n is missing for me. I don't know which value will satisfy this. I know the general formula. Before moving on to the general formula, I have the value of the first term, which is 3, and the value of common difference, that means 8 minus 3. 8 minus 3, which is 5. So each following term 5 is being added. Going for the general formula, an equals to a plus n minus 1 into d. A plus n minus 1 into d. I have been given that the an, whatever be the nth term, that is 78. So this is 78. Now which term it will be, I don't know. Which term it will be, I don't know. That is why n is equal to question mark, I don't know. Putting up the values, the rest of the thing which I know. A is equals to 3 plus, taking n as it is, minus d is 5. 5 over here. So 78 minus 3. Why? This positive will go on the other side. This will be 78 minus 3. That means 75. Equals to, multiplying 5. So 5n minus 5. This 5n goes on the other side, will be plus 5. That means 80. So 5n equals to 80 over here. And from here, you can find out the value of n, that is 80 by 5. I hope you can do the division. 5 1 times is 5. 3 is the remainder. So 30. 5 6 times is 30. So the answer over here is 16. What does 16 indicate? The 16th term of an AP will be 78. You can always do the verification. A16 will be what? A plus 15D. You have the value of A, you have the value of D. Check out whether you are getting A16 as 78. You can check this part out. Few of the questions, always you can do the verification on your own. What I did, I used the general formula. This time, rather than finding out an, I find out the value of n. So, because the equation is given, any of the term can be missing. Let's see how other ways are there for the term missing. Check whether minus 150 is a term of an AP or not. Interesting question. Same formula we know. We need to find whether the AP contain this given term minus 150. In the previous question, I find out the value of n. It has a direct linkage with this problem. Let me assume I don't know at the moment that minus 150 is the part of AP or not. I don't know whether 150 is the part of AP or not, minus 150. So let me assume that minus 150 is the part of AP. Alright, if I am assuming this. Now what should happen? Let me use the formula. A plus n minus 1 into D equals to minus 150. I have all these values. The value of A is given to me as 11. The value of D is given to me as 8 minus 11, that means minus 3, right? And the value of n I don't know. I will be calculating this equation to calculate the part of n. So putting up all the values, this is AB equal to 3 plus n minus 1 into minus 3 equals to 150, minus 150. So here, rest of the calculation I will not be doing. It's up to you to do the calculation. And when I say up to you, it simply means I don't know. I will not be checking whether you are doing it or not. But I would suggest if you do, that will be really, really great. So when you calculate and find out the value of n, what will happen? So how would I get to know from the value of n that whether this is a part of AP or not? For that, it's a very simple understanding. If it is a part of AP, n value will come out to be any whole number like 15, 16, 18, 21, 25, 27, 29, 30, anything, right? But let's say if the value of n comes out to be 25 by 2, 27 by 2, 30, not 30, 31 by 2, not a whole number. Now, if it is coming in the form of a decimal, it means that this will not be a term. This will not be a term of AP. And totally depending upon the value of n, we can find out for any term whether it's part of AP or not. N value should always come out to be a whole number. If that is the case, I can say for sure that this is part of AP, otherwise not. So it all depends on the value of n. In the previous case, we found out the value of n. Again, in this case, we are trying to find out the value of n. This time, we are focusing what will be the value of n. Important question. I hope you realize the importance of this question. What I am doing over here, I am giving you the all types of questions possible, and from here onwards I will not be emphasizing on calculation, because I know if you are a serious student, you will be doing the calculation on your own. If you are not serious, it does not matter. So moving on to the next type of question. Find the 31st term of an AP. They need to find the 31st term, so you need to find A31. I hope you understand what is A31. A plus 30D. If you have the value of A and D, you can find the 31st term. What information is given to me? Whose 11th term is 38. So A11 is given to you as 38. It simply means what? A plus 10D is given to you. That is 38, right? A plus 10D, because A plus 10D will be 11. Similarly, A16 is also given to you. A16 is given to you as 73. A16 means A plus 15D equals to 73. Now, I must have told this part, math is not a thing which can be learned in isolation. Whatever you have learned previously, it has to be used over here. These two are two equations in linear equations in two variables. What are the two variables? We at the moment don't know the value of A, we don't know the value of D. So if you solve these two equations, you will get the value of A as well as D. So if I simply write this equation over here, A plus 10D equals to 38. I can do the calculation by simply elimination method. I can cancel out over A over here. 15 minus 10 will be 5D over here, and something will be the value of D, which you can find out. Once you have find out the value of D, you can always find out the value of A. Once you have find the value of A and D both, then you can always put up the values of A and D and you can find out the 31st term which has been asked to you. This question is a combination of arithmetic progression as well as linear equation. Combination of arithmetic progression and linear equation. There would be cases where other chapters would also be involved. First, observe this question carefully and make sure after the session you do the calculation, find out the value of A and D. Alright. So moving on to the next type of question over here. So next type of question is this one. A 17th term, A not A, I am focused on A. The 17th term of an AP, so 17th term will be what? A17 of an AP exceeds the 10th term. What is 10th term? A10. A 17th term exceeds the 10th term by 7. So wherever such kind of a statement are there, people are confused. So where should I add 7? On this side or this side? In such kind of a word problem, always make sure that you know which term is the greater one. When they say 17th term of an AP exceed, that means this term is greater. If this term is greater, so this is like a beam balance. This is over here, this is over here. You need to add something on this side so as to make the balance equal. Because A10 is smaller, you need to add 7 to this side so that this becomes an equation. A17 is equal to A10 added with 7. Extra 7 has to be added on this side such that it becomes equal. Once you observe this part, once you are able to convert this English statement in the mathematical form, things are very simple here onwards. How? A17 is nothing but A plus 16D. A10 is nothing but A plus 9D and 7 was always there. What happens over here? If you observe carefully, we are having positive A, positive A. So this A goes on the other side, A and A will cancel out. You are left with only D. 9D goes on the other side. 16D minus 9D equals to 7. 16D minus 9D equals to 7. From here onwards, you can do the rest of the calculation. You can calculate that, okay, 16 minus 9 will be what? 7D. 7D equals to 7. From here onwards, I can calculate D. Once you have calculated D, you can always do the calculation of A. If you have calculated A and D, what do you think? What they had asked? They had asked only common difference. That will come out to be 1. As simple. The question is done. No need for any further calculation. You are saved over here. But the point is, in case of word problem also, the arithmetic progression can be asked. So we have linear equation. We had a word problem over here. Let's see any other chapter also awaits us. This was the problem, much more simpler compared to the previous ones. I hope you have understood it and I am moving on from here to the next problem. It says, find the 20th term from the last term of an AP. This is given to you. This is one of the best questions we have. Why I am saying best question? Because people apply their mind in different ways. Everyone, all the fingers are not same. Everyone apply their mind in their own way. So when this question is in front of them, what they do? The AP is given to you, the value of A is there, the value of D is there, and since the last term is there, you can always use the formula AN equals to A plus N minus 1 into D. And you can put up the values of AN. The last term for you is 253. You have the value of A as 3. You don't know the value of N over here. You have the value of D, that means 8 minus 3 is 5. Calculating this part, you will be able to find the value of N. What does it mean? It simply meant over here that you have calculated the total number of terms in the AP. Once you have calculated the total number of terms in the AP, after that what you will be doing? You have been asked the 20th term from the last. So whatever the value of N, that means the total number of terms, you will subtract 20 from it. Why? Because in total number of terms, you have subtracted 20. So if this much books were there, 1, 2, 3, 4 like this, you have taken out 20 books out of it. Now, ahead of the 20, these are the books. You need to find which was the 20th book from the last. So after this, whatever is left, so next book, what you have removed will be your 20th book. And this is how you'll be working. You'll be subtracting 20 from this, and whatever you get, you add 1 to it and find that term. You find that term. Things seems a bit complicated and lengthy. Why go for the lengthy method? Let's understand the complexity of the concept and go for the easier method. It simply says you can reverse the AP. Since you are trying to find the 20th term from the last. So rather than Rather than going for this AP, you change the AP. Let's make 253 our first term. Let's make 253 our first term. This is our first term and you already have the value of A and D. So lastly we have 13, we have 8 and we have 3. From here, now the value of A changes. The value of A is 253. Alright. Value of D. Observe, over here the value of D was 5. The value of D was 5. When you reverse the AP, the last term becomes your first term. What happens to the D? Now, initially the numbers were increasing. Now, the numbers are decreasing. So, if the numbers are decreasing, initially if D was positive, now D will be negative. D will be minus 5. The basic difference which will come when you reverse the AP are these two. The last term will become your first term and the common difference will change its sign. If it was positive, it will become negative. If it was negative, it will become positive. And these two, if you have written, now things become very simple. You want to find the 20th term. That means A20 will be equal to A plus 19D according to this AP. Put the values of A, put the value of D, put the value of N. That is given already. I have taken it over here. And you will find the 20th term from the last. Because in this AP, 20th term from the starting, not from the last. Observe this question over here carefully because this is again a very conceptual and an interesting one. I have taken almost all kind of question possible in AP. I hope you realize that. Now going forward, we'll be moving on to the next concept and the final concept of the AP, which is sum of n terms of an AP. Concept is again very easy to understand. I'll explain it with your pocket money because money is everything everyone interested in. So if you were getting 100 rupees, then in the next month 200 rupees, in the next month 300 rupees, in the next month 400 rupees and going forward like this. What will happen? In this particular case, if I ask you after 2 years, how much amount do you have? If you have saved all the money, how much amount do you have? Last time I asked you how much amount you will be getting from your parent in the 23rd month or the 48th month. This time I am not asking how much amount you will be getting. I am asking how much money you have accumulated in this much time. That means 2 years means in 24 months. In 24 months, how much money you have accumulated. So basically, if this was A for you, if this was A1, A2, A3, A4, what I am asking? Over here I am asking what will be the sum of all these terms. A1 plus A2 plus A3 plus A4 and going on up till what? What will be the last term? The last term will be A24. That means the money you would have got in the starting of the 24th month. So A24. The sum of all these terms is what I am looking forward to. The sum of all these terms I am looking forward to. And for that we have a very specific formula over here. The formula is S equals to, S over here stand for sum of an AP. So sum equals to n by 2. N means the number of term. Like in the previous case, it was 24. So n is the number of term. 2 of A. A is the first term plus n minus 1 into D. So the formula seems same. The only difference is 2 over here and n by 2. These are the two new things in the formula of sum. Observe this formula and you will realize how we have reached over here. In the formula, let me clear it so that you remain very clear about the formula. You please take a note of it. The formula we have suggested over here is Sn, let me write it over here. Sn equals to n by 2, 2 of A plus n minus 1 into D. This is the formula I have written. In this, if I split 2A, I write it as n by 2 A, 1A over here, and the next A I will be writing as plus A, 2A has been split into A plus A, plus n minus 1 into D. Observe this part. A plus n minus 1 into D. This is the formula for the general term. So I will write it as n by 2 into A plus an. If I say an is our last term, why last term? I'll write the AP as A1, A2, A3, A4, going on like this up till AN. AN is my last term. So I am saying AN is equals to L. If AN is equals to L, I'll write the formula over here. S, that is sum, equals to N by 2 A plus the last term. That is our formula. So from the first formula, I have derived the second one, and they both are same. There is no change. So that is what is written over here. I hope you understand the relation between both of them. This is not a new formula. This is same thing written over here. Now, formula cannot be understood without solving few questions. So we'll solve few questions on this part and then we'll end the session. I know that you guys would be getting restless. I hope you understand how to add the money you are getting each and every month. So you'll use this formula and understand this part. Find the sum of the first 22 terms of an AP. Whenever the AP is given to you, write the common thing. The value of A, 8. The value of D. So we have 3. So 3 minus 8 over here, that means minus 5. The value of N, that means up till which term I am looking to add up. I am looking to add up till 22 terms. The value of N will be 22. We know the formula. The formula is Sn equals to N by 2 2A plus N minus 1 into D. So I put up all the values over here. I have all the values required. That means 22 by 2 into 2 of A. A is 8 over here. 2 into 8 plus N. N value is 22. So we are finding S22 over here. So 22 minus 1. 22 minus 1 into D. D value is minus 5. What is this, sir? This is the homework for you. I hope you'll be able to do the calculation because the chapter name is arithmetic. So you'll do some arithmetic calculation, right? So over here, you'll find the final answer. You'll check the option, which option is correct. But the point over here in this question was simply to make you understand how to use the formula. If the AP is given to you, you have to find the basic things, that is A, the value of D, and up till which term they are asking you to add up. Over here, they're asking you to add up till 22. So the value of N is 22. Finally, do the calculation, get the answer. That's it. Done for the day. Not at the moment for this question over here. Moving on to the next problem. How many terms of an AP, the AP is given to you, must be taken such so that their sum is 78. Now, since the equation is given, you know, in the equation, it's not necessary that always you'll be calculating the value of S. Sometimes some other things would be missing. What other things? Like, for example, they're asking how many terms. So basically, they're asking you the value of N. The value of N is missing. What else is given? Automatically, you can see over here, rest of the things are given to you. The value of A is given to you. The value of A is given to you as 24. The value of D is given to you. The value of D is what? Minus 3 over here. Simply minus 3. The value of N is not known to you, but the sum of the AP is given to you as 78. Sn is given to you as 78. Now, when Sn is given to you as 78, what you can do? You can put up the formula N by 2, 2A plus N minus 1 into D equals to 78. What part is known and what part is not unknown? Everything in this equation is known except one thing. What is that? Except N. This N and this N over here. You can put up rest of the values. N by 2 into 2 into 24. 2 into 24, that means 48 plus N minus 1 into minus 3 equals to 78. Now, you might think I'll leave it over here. Yes, I'll do that. But one thing you have to observe over here. There is one N over here and there is one N inside the bracket. When you open up the bracket, two N will clash. And what will happen? A bigger N will be produced. What bigger N? N square will be produced. So in this equation, finally you will be having something like N square plus something N plus something equals to 0. Do you realize what I have written over here? If you remember this kind of equation we have learned recently. In the previous session of our revision series, we have revised the chapter by the name quadratic equation. And this over here is a quadratic equation. What you will be doing? Solving this part, simplifying this part, solving and getting to the quadratic equation. Once you reach the quadratic equation, after that you can use the quadratic formula to get the value of n. And one interesting thing over here, you will be getting two values of n. You will be getting two values of n. And that is why you are observing in the options we are having A, B and both A and C. But one thing I want to warn you over here, that doesn't mean that both the values of n will be working. What I told you, it is number of term, and the number of term has to be a whole number. It cannot be a decimal term. It cannot be a negative term. So if you get any value of n which is the negative, that is not the answer. That is not the answer. And has to be a positive number. And has to be a positive number. This is what you have to take into your mind or consideration. One another thing I want to add, we have revised linear equation. We have revised the part of quadratic equation as well. We have revised quadratic equation as well. So that is why I am telling each and every chapter is interlinked over here. So I hope you have understood this problem, and I hope you will be going further solving this part for the value of n. And on that note, we move on to the next question, which says find the sum of the first 1000 positive integer. This question compared to the previous question is much more easy. Only thing which you have to focus upon is first 1000 positive integer. So if I have to write the AP over here, positive integer. One thing is positive integer, so 0 would not be included because I expect that 0 is not positive nor negative. So the first integer is 1, next 2, next 3, 4 and going on up till the last term, that is 1000. This is your AP. If this is your AP, you can write down the value of A, you can write down the value of D, you can write down the value of n over here. How so? How do you know that n is 1000? First 1000, 1, 2, 3, 4 like this up till 1000. The value of n is 1000. We are counting up till 1000. They are asking you the sum. The sum is what? Sum is simply n by 2, n by 2. I'll use the second formula this time. Rather than going for 2a plus n minus 1 into d, I'll write a plus L. L means the last term. One extra thing which I know over here in this AP is that the last term is 1000. This makes things easy for me. Rather than going for long calculation, I'll reduce my calculation. The formula was this much, now I've reduced to this much and I'll do the calculation. So S1000 for me will be what? 1000 divided by 2. A is 1 and the last term is 1000 over here. Finally, what do I get? 1000 by 2 is 500. 500 into 1001. I hope you can do the calculation. Such kind of a calculation is way easy. 5 into 1001, that means 5005 and 2 zeros along with it. This is your final answer. You can match option. Which option we have? Option number A. We have option number A as the correct answer. What we have done, the only thing which I want you to focus in this formula or in this problem is this formula which we have used. If there is a case in the AP where we know the last term, we can always use this formula and reduce our calculation to get the answer. I hope you have realized this part, and I know you are getting too restless now. So I'll give you the one last question which will be the easiest again, to solve. To be very honest, this is not the last question. Over here, this problem is very simple. Find the sum of first n positive integers. Find the sum of first n positive integers. So the AP is 1, 2, 3, 4 and going on up till n. Rather than 1000, this time n. Everything is same. You know the value of A, you know the value of D, you know the value of n. N is over here, n. Now, this question is the homework. That is why this is not the last question. This is the homework for you. You need to come up with a formula. You need to come up with the formula of addition of the first n positive term. The formula you will be coming up will be a universal formula. If someone directly give you add 50 terms, add 100 terms, add 1000 terms, use the direct formula and get the answer. If you have any difficulty, let me give you the final answer so that you can match the process whether you have reached the final answer correctly or not. The formula to add the first n positive term is this. Sn is n plus 1 by 2. This is the formula for first n positive integers. You have to derive this formula using the formula which we have learned, the two formulas of sum of an AP. I hope you are realizing this part and understanding it. This is a homework for you, as we had left multiple kind of calculation for you to solve. This is one among them. So now, as I was mentioning about the last question, yes, we have the last question. Here we have the last question which says, find the sum of an odd number, not of an odd number, of the odd numbers between 0 and 50. Between 0 and 50, so what are the odd numbers? Now, the basic mistake which anyone can do over here is writing the AP as 0 and like this, like this, like this. Do you think 0 is an odd number? From what sense 0 is an odd number? If 0 is the odd number, 0 would also be positive integer. 1 will also be a prime number. No, these all things what I have stated in the last 5 seconds are wrong. 0 is not an odd number. The first odd number will be 1. The second odd number will be 3. The next odd number will be 5. What will be the next last odd number? Since we have been asked between 0 to 50, the last odd number has to be 49, because 50 is an even number. After reading the question, the first task is to write an AP. These are word problems where you have to generate the AP. Once you have generated the AP, things are easy. What easy? The value of A. The value of A is 1. The value of D. The value of D is simply 2 over here. 3 minus 1, 2. The value of L, that means the last term, 49. The value of N. There are two things over here. You can always calculate the value of N. You can always calculate the value of N using the formula of AN. AN equals to A plus N minus 1 into D. You know the value of A, you know the value of D. You have to simply calculate the value of N, because AN, that is the last term, is also known to you. Another thing, if total 50 terms are there, what will be the value of N? For odd numbers, in 50 terms, 25 will be even, 25 will be odd. I know the value of N will come out to be 25. Now, this is general explanation. I have directly written over here 25. For you, I would suggest that you do the calculation and then reach to this answer of 25. Because if the question is of, let's say, 5 marks, the examiner might cut 1 or 2 marks of yours for not calculating the value of N. Because in subjective examination, each and everything counts. It's like a test match where you have to play each and every ball according to its merit. Now, if these things are known, I can use the formula Sn equals to n by 2 A plus L. As you know, this is my favorite formula now. Putting up all the values, n is over here. N value is 25. So 25 by 2. The value of the first term is 1. The value of the last term is 49. 49 plus 1 is 50. 50 by 2 will be 25. We are left with 25 into 25. Even I can relate one another chapter with this part. Squares and square root. You might say, sir, this is not in our curriculum. This was there when you were in grade 8. So over here, 25 into 25, rather than doing the calculation, you should immediately know that 25 into 25 is 625, which is your final answer. 625, which is your final answer. Let me tell you, using that chapter itself, the chapter of a square and square root, you could have directly answered rather than going for the AP. In that chapter, they mention the sum of the first n odd terms. The sum of the first n odd terms is n square. So, if you are adding first 25 terms, the sum will be 25 square. That means 625. Directly in single step. This n square is the formula of the sum of n odd terms. Like I have given you the homework, the sum of the first n positive integers. Thus, by putting up the values, you can find out the answer. So, in this way, these general formula are very, very helpful. I hope you have understood whatever I have told. And in case you haven't understood, then nothing to worry about. Now, you can go back and forth and see which part you haven't understood. And you can comment in the section like, okay, this part was not clear. So, in the class, you can explain it once again. So, in the next time, I can try doing this part as well. So, over here, this is all what we have in AP. I started by explaining you the application of AP. Then I told you what exactly is AP and how it is different from sequence, series and rest of the progression. I talked about the nth term of an AP and I finally talked about the sum of nth term. So, that means how much money you can save in, let's say, nth year. So, how many years you are living, how much money you can save. You can do the calculation if you are constant. You must have heard about FD, fixed deposit. So every time you are doing the fixed deposit, you can count how much amount you will be saving at the end of the moment. That is another application of AP, and from my end, that is all what I had. I'll come up with the next chapter in the following session, but till then, please do practice a few questions and enjoy your time. Have a great health. Bye bye and take care.